My life and political thoughts as a tarot reader who thinks YouTube wants to know what the hell I'm thinking. So, last night I decided to watch War of the Worlds, and I'm still sitting with that. So, I grew up with my grandma telling me about experiencing the first War of the Worlds storytelling on radio, the original. And so was it the early 2000s they made a War of the Worlds movie? I had to watch it. I need to see my grandma's version, except it wasn't the same because we knew it was a movie. And the original, it was like a radio broadcast. They did fiction stories. If you tuned in on time, you knew what you were listening to was fiction. If you missed the intro to the program, you were going nuts and thinking there's an alien invasion. And that you're listening to it on the radio. So I wanted to listen to the new version, watch the new version. And I've maybe mentioned before that I've had a breakup with most of my superheroes. Some of them, it was because they hired a genocidal actress, and so that couldn't be my favorite superhero anymore. I tried to say, well, she's not that superhero, but it didn't work. I lost that connection to that superhero. And, you know, it's a lot of pro-American propaganda, and I hate the colonizers. And as an indigenous person, the first Black Panther I liked, but there was like classic superhero American propaganda problems, right? The second one, no. And it's the propaganda. It's just too much. And so I'm watching War of the Worlds, and I'm like, oh my... Okay, step back. And there's always been revolutionary movies, or there's a movie, I forget what it was, and you're all like rooting. You think you're rooting for the IRA, but then in the end, you're supposed to be rooting for America. They're the good guys in the end, and the IRA is supposed to be bad guys, and you shouldn't actually feel sympathetic for them, I think was the message. I don't know. Does anyone know what movie I'm talking about? Anyway. There's also all the government propaganda. The American government will save us. Independence Day, Armageddon, all of them. And so this time, I'm like, oh my fucking God. Okay, so the government's still the bad guys. Amazon saves us. Amazon saves us. Amazon. Fucking Amazon. And they always normalize the thing they know you're against, right? So normalizing the storage of data, that was all the big bad thing, but don't worry, we're still into data. It's just better now because Amazon saved us. What did Bezos, however you say his name, did he like fund the movie? It's a fun movie to watch, but we have next level Amazon propaganda. Which brings me to the other theme in movies. They like to prepare us for ideas so we adjust to them, right? How many movies are there where the rich folks, Snowpiercer style, there's other previous examples, shooting off into space. Do we learn that the rich people's plan is escape the destruction and the horrors they've created, right? Escape it. And so we've got propaganda that the billionaires like Amazon will save us with their underpaid gig employees. And we have other movies where they're escaping everything, and they're preparing to survive whatever thing they create, probably in little fiefdoms where like they live in their corporate towns, or they run their corporate towns from space. I don't know. Or there are no corporate towns because you were all gig employees, so hopefully you're not doing it from the workhouse, which could also make a comeback. It is so dystopian. The genocide in Gaza is mind-blowing. And there's been so many other times the white world has turned a blind eye on the brown and black world, or blamed them, and made revolutionary terrorists that it's not a surprising horror. And I'm not surprised that the Western world is turning a blind eye to Gaza, and it's heartbreaking. I think the starving thing is pulling on the feels of all those of us who grew up, or probably also those who are young adults listening to the really terrible Live Aid and Band-Aid songs. Good intent with a lot of racism, so not acceptable. But to see starving people, because we saw starving people and we were told it wasn't. We were told it was natural. And it wasn't really natural. I think what's surprising is America is becoming like full-on fascist, and nobody really wants to say anything. Canada still wants trade talks with them. There's alligator Alcatraz. There's immigration, kidnapping, torture, concentration camps, overseas imprisonment, and now if you're homeless, mentally ill, which can also include being two-spirit, LGBTQIA, as part of that mental illness. Everybody who's worked to get diagnoses for the various aspects on the spectrum so they can understand how they function, and maybe now that could get you locked up. It can be illegal to be trans. It can be illegal to be homeless. And there's plenty of ways where there's been vagrancy laws all the time. But this level of illegal to be homeless is harkening back to workhouse days. If the rest of the world, America's always created this giant lie of freedom and liberation built on genocide, occupation, and slavery. The irony, I know. Obviously, the biggest propaganda campaign ever is going to be that much worse if the rest of the world normalizes what's going on in the United States. And normalizing what's going on in the United States puts wherever you're living at risk also. I'm living in so-called Canada. Canada and the United States both occupy my land. And Canada is passing laws for later, just in case we might need them. Not going to act on them yet, which is way smarter and more devious than Trump, because some of them are in line with his policies, but by being like, don't, it's not a big deal, not a big deal, not a big deal, and hiding it in with all this other stuff and not acting on it, like when you're like, oh, this thing happened, you know, omnibus bills is something I think a lot of countries have been dealing with for the last 15, 20 years. So they're everywhere. They're in so-called Canada also. And they just don't even get called that anymore. Bills just include all kinds of everything they could throw in under the kitchen sink that sort of fit there. And so there's all kinds of changes in immigration, changes in security, changes in privacy. We need to pay attention to these because they try and cover it all in the news. No news stations manage to cover it all. I don't know how many of us actually watch independent news on YouTube. Like, I think because I do and I see lots of other people doing it, I probably assume or hope there's a number of people doing it, but I'm not sure. I mean, I'm unsure enough that I watch mainstream news to get an understanding of what the mainstream person is actually being told and might believe. So I try to touch ground, like what, you know, what the followers think, because there's a lot of followers in the world. And it gets kind of lost and nothing's happening. Like nothing's happening. Nobody's lives changing. Nothing dramatic's occurring like in the US. So you're probably going to forget before it changes. And oh my God, by the way, it's been a law for 2 years. Where are you so upset about now for? So we should be concerned as well. And nothing's been as drastic as as you know, the United States, but it is the biggest settler empire. Like, it's the most successful of all the settler nations. So, and by extension, Israel is too. They're the only two that are like actually independent and not colonies of their parent empires. And I'm not talking about all countries created under colonialism. I'm talking specifically about Britain's colonies, of which Israel and the United States are both of, are the only ones that are like their own independent nations. Britain's settler colonies specifically. The rest of us are all still attached to the parent empire. And so it being more extreme there kind of makes sense. They are the biggest, they're the most to prove. and one is pretty much funded by the other. So, there's that. We should all be concerned because while the West, or also known as the global North, is the minority people, it is financially and international power-wise in the most control. And for the sake of all of us, that needs to be unbalanced. And people have always said I'm an accelerationist and I hate white people and whatever else. But listen, like, if you live in the global North, in a westernized country, especially I'm going to say like England, France, Canada, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, if the rest of the world doesn't stop what we're doing, we are the most fucked. That we're fucked. We're fucked too. It's coming for you, right? Like it's happening inside the borders to people holding citizenship. It's coming for its own, and that will keep profit at home, especially all the deglobalization rhetoric that's going on. That means like the money has to be made at home mostly, and so it needs to put you guys into the concentration camps and the workhouses, although it can have some foreign sites for sure. But the rest of the world had to stop Germany at one point, and Italy and Spain, and they had to stop them from what they were doing, or who knows what kind of world we live in. There's movies and TV shows about that. There's a really good TV show about it. I forget what it's called. It's The Man in the Tower. That can't be right. There's a good TV show about it. But it's not just Germany this time. We're all throwing our hats in complicity, whatever our background is in these Western countries, these global North countries, especially that core of settler colonialism. Like, we're all throwing our hat in behind fascism, even if our countries are getting uncomfortable with the full extent of genocide that Israel is doing. Like, even if the country you're in is getting uncomfortable with that full extent of genocide, they're still balanced with the overall fascism, and they're all getting tired of like Israel, because that's going to be the new Germany. But we're just saying, we're laughing at Trump. Trump's a bad guy. It's not the Americans' fault. FYI, Western civilization, we're all somewhat complicit in this. Even those of us at the bottom of it have benefited from it over the global south, right? Over the world majority. Those of us inside have still benefited. And that's going to get turned on our heads. And we'd better hope that the rest of the world stops all our countries from the insanity. We're the baddies. We are the baddies. We're the insanity. How the fuck did you let that happen? And I'll tell you how the fuck this happened. There's ongoing fantasy that Rome was the greatest thing on the face of the earth. It fucking fell due to insanity and lead poisoning and all kinds of other shit. But we're going to make it better. Oh shit, it didn't work. We're going to make it better. Oh shit, it didn't work. We're going to make it better. Oh shit, it didn't work. Rest of the world, shut up. You're doing it wrong. You have to do our system. We just got to make it better. Trust us. Here, take one of our inferior versions while we keep working on the next best version. None of it's the next best version. This whole, like, fake democracy thing, it's lunacy. And the fake democracy, the capitalism, all of it, it's fucking lunacy. That's how we got here. All of it was based on, I'm better than you. Who are you better than? What the fuck did we expect was going to happen? Really? That's where I'm at, folks. Other than that, I'm, trying to cultivate my best small life here until it collapses. And I made a video on that. And will I put it in here? Will I edit some of it out? A lot of it out? Maybe I'll just keep certain parts of it. I think the part that I'll edit out, so I'll just wrap it up quicker here, is I wanted to join protests here. I got thrown into organizing chat with mostly white ladies. Then sent a brown woman to say, hey, go tell that Native woman to stop saying, rather than do it this way, which emulates white supremacy, why don't we do this? I was doing a lot of that, and they didn't like being called out for that, even though I did it as polite as fucking possible. And they wanted me to stop that, and I was like, I can't stop that, so I'm gonna step out of this group. I really just wanted to let other people organize at this point in my life and show up at the protests. And then they lost their ever-loving shit that I didn't want to work with them. And I also got messages from like a few different BIPOC folks telling me I'm not the first to be pushed out. These white ladies only like brown people that tell them they're doing a great job. So there's that. I'm going to cut the longer story of that out, but it all went down while I was having a fantastic vacation in Toronto. I've tried making this video a few times. We will have fish updates and plant updates. But we're gonna also have a life update while we watch these fish at the end of feeding time when I was in Toronto, because that meant that I was surrounded by my people. I was spiritually surrounded by my people. I was politically surrounded by my people. And I was meeting up and doing stuff. All these things I was trying to do in Belleville that wasn't working, I was doing in Toronto. And I need to find ways to commute to Toronto and Kingston more frequently. I can attend actions in both those places. I don't want to organize. I want to attend. I don't have the capacity to organize and deal with difficult white people in organizing. They're not even needed in organizing. Like, be quiet. Just show up and put up posters or something. Do the grunt work. Okay, so when the new moon started, my youngest, my 11-year-old, and I started a spiritual journey together, and it feels fabulous. It does. And the palms of my hands, let's see, which I don't know if camera is really going to pick it up. Oh, there's one of them. In the palms of my hand, very lightly tattooed, because tattooing your palms and making it visible and stay is extremely difficult, is a part of the sky, it's a star map, and a portal when I put my two hands together. I feel a lot of energy come through my hands as a result, and it can be a good indication that I'm on the right path when I can just feel the energy of magic flowing through my hands, like I'm in water, and magic is water, and I can feel it flowing through my hands. Anyway, if I'm porous, I don't know how to describe it. Sometimes it feels like magnets. Like my hands are magnets that push and pull. Anyway, it's been very strong, and so this feels like a good, strong path for me. I'm watching Chewy. I don't know what the rest of you are doing. Chewy is liking that this plant broke, and that this plant broke and looks like it's not doing so well. And I am apparently the only person on the planet who can't grow duckweed. Okay. So, look at these roots behind them. At night, when the lights go off, like, impressively, pretty much all these babies, except for the very smallest, are up in here. And the very smallest mostly go into the Java fern. Okay. So, we've been on this spiritual path together, and it's been lovely. It's lovely to have something to share spiritually with my kids. I've tried with a few of them to varying degrees, and we're going to see where Hanu and I go with this. So I'm enjoying that we have a path that we are doing together, and it's been lovely. Okay, so he's also an 11-year-old boy in summer, so there's some days where he's not home at night. He's been having lots of sleepovers. Okay, so as things keep getting more expensive and my money keeps disappearing, and I wanted to make another fish tank, I didn't set up the fish tank. I had the money to do it, but then I got a phone call saying, hey, want to go to Toronto tonight? And I said, yeah, let's do that. And there went the money I'd saved up. So yeah, I gave up smoking cigarettes, but I took up fish keeping. And so I have stuff to figure out here, but I largely feel like I'm on a good path. All right. My plants are growing so well, except for this. It's doing so-so. The roots underneath are exploding, but especially on this side, which actually tells me it needs more of this light because it's getting the most of it. Like, these roots are going crazy. This is growing all kinds of new leaves. This replaces leaves regularly and adds more bananas. And I've got plant babies on my Java ferns everywhere, and the crypts are holding on. They're not really growing, but they're not dying off or shrinking either. So all of that is lovely. There's more fish babies while I was in Toronto, and I was watching a YouTube video that showed a Malibu sunset, like my Sabine Wren here in my Ahsoka, and they look like some of mine down here, and they start off kind of a gold color, and the blue's not going to come in till around 3 or 4 months. So some of my gold to bronze, where are you? Like that guy there, could be a green lantern, could be a Malibu sunset. I'm not going to know until 3 or 4 or 5 months. There's one around here I know is the Malibu sunset now that I've seen that, because I can see that hint of shine on blue on top. But yeah, so that's an interesting thing to note. The Malibu sunsets and Shin Hati, who's my green lantern, the black one with some yellow, they never looked as pregnant as my wagtails, being Padme and Enfys Nest and Princess Leia there. They never looked nearly as pregnant as my wagtails, but they've had babies. So I knew Shin had babies. I've seen 2, maybe 3 that look like her, but some of these darker bronze ones could be Green Lanterns or Malibu sunsets. So that's fascinating. And I don't know what I'm doing with my big tank. I don't know if it's going to be platyfish overflow or if I'm creating a whole nother set of fish breeds to enjoy. And I've really been thinking about that. Like, you know, female beta, or those blue-eyed rainbows, or peacock gudgeons, or gourami. I don't know. I think maybe I want to do another tank setup. Is definitely getting more of these. And these lights are good. I just need more of those lights, but that was a really cheap Amazon light. Really cheap. I think it was like $16. And for those of us up here in Canada, that's cheap. I'm getting new leaves all the time. This one grew while I was away. This one yesterday. This one's coming out today. That's how that's going. We've got other new growths going on over here. Like that light green is new growth too. And this one is growing back this way and also has new growth going on as well. So there is all of that. With this tank over here, I need to cover my pothos here more. It does get chewed. The snails have ravaged this plant and the plants and this tank, and I am going to put the guppy males either in with my platyfish or in the 25-gallon, and I will pass my platy males on to people or the fish store when the first batch of males goes out, and I'm tearing this tank down and redoing it, and we're getting rid of the snails. Yeah, that's where I'm at in the thought process. I don't know. Okay, so, and this is the tank that, this is 25-gallon. I need a stand and filter, heater, light, lids, sand, plants, driftwood. There's a lot, but I went to Toronto and I don't regret going to Toronto. I don't. It was lovely. It was fantastic. It was definitely needed, and I'm enjoying my fish. I'm doing well in life. Sometimes it's hard, and I'm thankful to the people in my life who say it's okay. You got it together. We're here. We're here. And getting together, it's my little spiritual trio in Toronto. Me, my Bruges friend, and my Santeria friend was lovely. And we all talked for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. An entire day we talked, and we each got to talk about our own things we needed to talk about. And we each got help from the other two. And it was lovely and beautiful and healing, and we all needed it in each our own ways. Oh, hey, Mace Windu. Hey there. Mon Mothma was out a lot yesterday, but I'm not seeing her right now. All right, talk to y'all later, folks. All right, so that is all for today. It's a pretty long video. I hope I actually edit it and get it out this time, because I've made a few videos over the last week, maybe two now, that I have not finished editing and got out and uploaded. I'll try and do it this time. Okay. Talk to you later, folks.